when President Sisi received his Serbian counterpart. But before going into that, a very big incident, I should call it this way, took place only a few hours ago when there was a failed assassination attempt targeting U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump, the former American president. And it seemed that this is going to add to the already polarized U.S. election campaigns, an image and atmosphere, and the potentials, the consequences, only God knows how it's going to be on the ground. To shed more light on the event, we are very much delighted to have with us via phone former Assistant Foreign Minister, Ambassador Ayman Mousharafa. A very good morning to you, Mr. Ambassador.
Good morning, and good morning to the audience.
Sir, as I was saying in my intro, already the American presidential elections are that much complicated with polarization and with 50 to 48 when it comes to the polls and the will of the Americans inside the American community divided between Trump and current President Joe Biden. But after the assassination attempt which took place a few hours ago, I think the image even became more complicated, and it was a shock, a surprising shock, not only for the Americans but to the whole world. If you please, sir, I'd like to have your vision regarding the incident.
Anyway, I was stunned like you and like the audience with what happened. But historically, the American election always is sometimes stained with violence. Remember, Robert Kennedy was killed in 1969 during his election quest, and his brother, President Kennedy, was killed too. So due to the armed proliferation in the United States, sometimes the election campaign are attracting some nuts and some crazy person, which they find the guns available, so they are expressing their opinion in a very violent and unconventional way. Of course, this will heat up the election, and it would, I think, in my own opinion, it will give a more favorable to Donald Trump, since, I mean, after the shooting, he was not shaken, and he waved to his supporters. That's a sign that he is a person who is controlling his nerves. So I think this incident will play with the Trump campaign, and it will boost the chance of Trump being elected.
But, sir, isn't it also raising some questions or doubts regarding the strength or the way the FBI is working regarding protection of a former American president, and taking into consideration that these things are, I'm not going to say expected, but they should be all the time ready and on alert, especially when it comes to a rally, you know, the place, the timing, everything. So isn't it raising some doubts regarding the security inside the American community, and especially securing American presidential campaigns?
We don't want to jump to conclusion, but this event will unfold after. I think this event will not pass without investigation and thorough investigation from the FBI and the CIA and all security agencies in the States, because the victim could be the president, the next president, and a former president of the United States. So, I mean, in any election anyway, nothing is 100% secure. Always there is a risk, since the person who did this was a sniper, and always the sniper are shooting from a big distance, so you could not secure 100% place. But we do not want to come to early conclusion.
And anyways, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, of course, was among the first leaders to condemn the failed assassination attempt and wished former American President Donald Trump a speedy recovery and wished the American elections campaigns to continue in peace, far from any form of terror, violence, or hatred. Sir, if you permit me, we are going to go to the important visit by Alexander Vučić, the Serbian president, who was received yesterday by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, as summit talks were held, and also a joint press conference was held right after the talks. Before going into the details, 116 years of diplomatic ties. How do you see the historical relations that dates back to more than a century ago between Egypt and Serbia, and the leap which took place in the relations after President Sisi's visit to Belgrade?
Actually, the relations started in 1908 during the reign of Khedive Abbas Helmi, and it continued in a very flourishing and steady relation during the monarchy. But the real transformation of the Egyptian relation was after the revolution, when President Nasser and Tito met in Bandung, and they made the non-alignment movement, which was categorized up till now as a third way due to the height of the Cold War and the polarization. And it was a seed that founded after that important groups in politics, like the Group of 77 in the United Nations. The Serbian stood with us during the aggression of 1956 and through the all Arab-Israeli conflict. So always Serbia was a friend of Egypt and friend of the Arab cause. Of course, the first encounter between the two presidents was 2017 on the sideline of the United Nations, and from then they developed a friendship, and it was followed by the historical visit of President Sisi in 2020 to Belgrade. It was the first visit of an Egyptian president since after 35 years. So this was an important political visit which started an enhancement of ties between both countries, and it has culminated with the actual visit, which was very, very important, because a free trade agreement was signed, and
a number of other MOUs or memoranda of understanding were also signed.
It was actually an important step to have this strategic relation with Serbia.
Yeah, and since we are talking about MOUs, how do you see the diversity of fields? Meaning, for example, Damietta here in Egypt, or a representative, of course, from the Egyptian side, and on behalf of Egypt, many ministers signed the agreements with their counterparts from Serbia, as there is a high-ranking delegation coming from Serbia headed by the president in the field of tourism, of IT, information technology and communication, trade, culture, even, you name it. How do you see the diversity of fields of cooperation between the two sides?
I do feel that the relation between Egypt and Serbia is so diverse and so rich. You have the economic side, the military side, the cultural side. Both nations are rich in history. For instance, tourism is very important. The Egyptian mission, headed by Ambassador Bassel Salah, managed to have direct flights from Cairo to Belgrade, Air Serbia. And we hope that Egypt Air will have a direct flight soon, because actually the soft power of both countries is very important. And the tourism is one of the very, very important field that every Egyptian and every Serbian is touching, and have an effect and fruitful relation on everything. Besides the exchange of folk troops like Ferret Rida and other important cultural event which was made simultaneously in Cairo and Belgrade. We
Yeah.
are very rich in history and culture, and this could enhance the overall relation between the two countries.
Vucic, the Serbian president, Alexander Vucic, used such a language to speak about Egypt when he said, for example, Egypt is our second homeland. And he praised the visions of our political leadership in dealing with the current circumstances, particularly among all these challenges which are taking place around us, whether regionally or internationally. And he said both leaders, both presidents, in fact, said in the joint press conference that they shared the same vision regarding a number of issues of mutual concern. For example, the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, they agreed on that peace should be restored and the violence should stop. The Sudanese file, the Libyan file, and of course the Palestinian cause. How do you see, sir, the importance of sharing vision with our allies and to send a message to the whole world that it's only peace that regional powers are working for?
I will touch upon the expression that the Serbian president said in his speech, our second home. During the Second World War, the royal family of Serbia came to find refuge in Egypt, and the residence of the Serbian ambassador in Cairo was witness to the journey of the royal family for a period during the Second World War, like other Balkans royal family, due to the Nazi invasion of their country. So Egypt always was a country which was very receptive and to foreigners, and especially royal families and politicians. And when he was expressing this, he was expressing it from his heart. And politically, we had always a similarity of positions concerning the Arab-Palestinian problems and other regional and international problems. Serbia sees Egypt as a force of stability in the Middle East and could play a pivotal role in many files like the Arab-Israeli conflict and what is happening in Libya and in Syria. And we have a common understanding that peace and security should prevail, and we should settle all civil conflicts, because if those conflicts are not settled, it will heighten the tension in the area.
Amen to that, sir.
Egypt is living in an arc of crisis from the south, from the east, from the west.
Also, it was announced in the joint press conference yesterday that the joint Egyptian-Serbian committee is going to resume its activities on all levels, whether it's ministerial, it's high-ranking officials, executives, you name it, to follow up on the implementation of the MOUs already signed, so it's not ink on paper. How do you see also the importance of all the time following up the agreements which were signed, to see the outcome, tangible outcomes on the ground, and not only to sign or to witness, of course, celebrating, witnessing MOUs and stuff like that. It was right after the signing, it was announced that the committee is already there, and the executives from both sides are going to follow up with the implementation of all the points or all the agreements which were agreed upon.
Actually, convening the High Committee and any sectorial committee, it's a tool of following up all the agreements, as you said, that those agreements doesn't stay ink on a paper. This High Committee is, divided in several sectors: economic committee, political committee, and as I said, Egypt is living on an arc of crisis, and in Serbia too, and in the Balkans, still, there is not a total stability, and we do not forget historically that the first part of the First World War started from Sarajevo. So we are living in a very turbulent area, and political consultation between both sides, it will be beneficial to both sides to deepen and broaden the understanding of regional and international problems, and to have common positions in international organizations and other venues concerning other issues like climate change, which is very important to both sides.
Sure. And sir, also more than once, Serbian President Alexander Vučić hailed the Egyptian way to deal with challenges, and hailed the Egyptian stances regarding a number of files. Here I'm going to only mention one of them, the guests we have, because we do not call them refugees. He hailed the Egyptian way of hosting more than 9 million refugees, despite the fact that our economy, as many other economies, because of international and global changes and inflation, food security, you name it, with global economic crises, we are still capable of doing that, and we are still capable of introducing to them all services introduced to the Egyptian citizen. How do you see the keenness of the Serbian president to mention this point?
Of course, as I said before, that Egypt was a country of hospitality throughout history for leaders, for royal families which left their country. And in the time of crisis, during the first Gulf War, we received many people from the Gulf, the Kuwaitis, for instance. And we are living, as I said, in an arc of crisis. South and west and east, we have Libyans, we have Sudanese, we have Palestinians, we have Iraqis, we have Syrians, and we consider them, as the president said, not refugees, as guests. Nevertheless, the Egyptian economy is suffering problems due to the international atmosphere, but still we are shouldering this burden, and we are trying to provide every service to our guests in Egypt. That's our destiny, what I could say.
One final question, Ambassador Mousharafa. When we saw yesterday the shared visions regarding a number of issues between the two presidents, and when we recall, only if we are going to talk about the past 3 months, for example, or maybe less than that, we are going to find that President Sisi already received a number of his counterparts, or at least heads of governments, and he also had visits to other countries, visiting our whether regional or international allies, meaning that cooperation among different allies, different states from all over the world, from the east and west, from the Arab, Islamic or Western countries, it's a must. It's not a luxury anymore. As you've kindly mentioned, the international atmosphere, the global crises urged the whole world to cooperate together, to face them together. How do you see the diversity of Egyptian relations, and how do you see the very much balanced foreign relations we do have now?
Egypt always had a balanced, diverse relation with the West and in the East from a long time. We are living, as I said, in an arc of crisis, and we need to have constant consultation with the European side, with the Arab side, with the foreign powers like Russia, like China, beside our traditional relation with the United States of America. So we have different circles, interdependent circle of foreign policy, and we are trying to pursue and to enhance this relation, plus the African circle, which is very important to us because we are living in a continent of Africa, and Egypt, if you don't forget, is a founding member of the AU, founding member of the Arab League, founding member even in the United Nations itself. I mean, we have a very pivotal role in international scene. So we should have this diverse and continuous consultation with different players in the world.
Ambassador Ayman Mousharafa, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you very much for your input, sir, and have a very good day. Right after the short break, we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned.